He just like it's just like, does anybody just enjoy like a porch on a sunny afternoon with like a fucking Arnold Palmer and just chilling out? Can you
Yeah,
guys just
no,
chill the fuck out once in a while?
you can't. It's all everyone's been watching too much porn, and now they can't get off unless a gay man is squirting
See,
them with a flower full of
yeah, but
Tide.
that's the other thing that I don't like about our right political side is this war on porn. Like to me, it's this is the way I look at it: is you're never gonna put the toothpaste back in the tube, so to speak.
Right.
With
That's
women
true.
participating in the sexual economy. So would you rather them sit at home and diddle themselves and take pay pig money, or just go out on a million Tinder dates, get knocked up, and have 1,000 abortions? I would rather they stay home and flick their goddamn bean and be safe from getting raped and impregnated. And so I think that's the lesser of two evils. I don't think they have to go Amish and churn butter and marry the first guy who fucks them. And the other thing
Yeah.
too, by the way, this push of marriage I've found with a lot of conservative guys is women go out and participate in the sexual economy and they get busted up and hurt and disappointed, right? Because there's no monogamy in that. And then so a lot of guys that are sixes are like, no, no, I'm trad. I'll marry you and have a kid right away. And women are like, oh, thank God, stability. Let me jump on that.
Oh,
So
wow.
so this
Okay.
push for traditional values has been how men who are sixes land hot wives because their hot wives go out and go, well, the tens just want to fuck everybody, so I can't marry a 10. And then a guy who looks like me comes in and goes, I'll marry you and give you a baby right now. I have a factory job. And then they go,
Yeah,
no,
that's stable.
this is good. I like this.
I don't know. I've never been I don't know. Maybe it's just a woman thing. Like the idea of going for a 10, it's like because I work with comedians. Like I never thought of just pursuing someone just for looks. But I remember like maybe occasionally I'd be like, "Oh god," I'd see a guy that was like almost too pretty looking and I'd be like, "Yeah, no, that's not going to be fun for me." And I see how male comics are who get a ton of attention. So it's like, why? Yeah, it's like I don't wanna deal with, like, being with somebody who has to constantly swat away pussy, but who knows? You never know what's going on in somebody's DMs. Like, it doesn't matter if you're married, engaged, single, like, your DMs can be full of offers. I think it's just all about how you right? Because you could be super good looking, but, like, if you make the person you're with feel comfortable, like, you're not going to just be distracted by every whiff of attention. I think that's good to do if you're no matter if you're like doesn't matter how good looking you are. I think that's part of being an adult is not just being like, I will go literally wherever the wind blows me in terms of attention. I think that's like kind of sophomoric or that's kind of like an insecure thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think men go through an ebb and flow in their life. Like, when I was young and I was a musician, I was like, "Oh, I'll get pussy being a musician," and then I didn't because I was a guitarist and not a front man. And then I became a comedian, and I was like, "Oh my god, I have to swat pussy away everywhere," which was insane to me. And then, of course, you go through your phase of like, I'm gonna fuck everything I can, and then you get that out of your system, and then you find companionship or whatever. And then after 10 years in a relationship, I think men, like marriages or whatever, they go through this phase like a midlife crisis thing where they have to prove to themselves that they can still go hunt. And I
Hmm.
think I think women have to understand that that is part of a man reaffirming his masculinity, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to circumvent that because every guy it's the same reason that guys will get into their 40s and 50s and start picking bar fights. Like they need to know that they can still defend themselves, they need to know that they can still fuck. Like we're just trying to prove
Yeah.
to ourselves that we're still somewhat useful. And
And I like
so
that. I like
that
that.
has
And I think if you understand if it doesn't get to an unhealthy place, like where you're literally getting like busted up in a bar fight, like I think it's important for women to understand that like men have these urges and they need to like basically stand in their virility, I guess, and like understand what that is instead of being like, "Oh, you're toxic," or like, "Oh, we got to train you." It's like, stop it.
Yeah, and women have to understand that like a man's desire to covet a woman who's not his partner in any way has nothing to do with her. It
Right.
has everything to do with him and his ability to like how he sees himself. And it's I can't speak for women because I'm not one, but I imagine it's probably the same for them too as they have couple kids and get older. Like, you see this in the movie This Is 40. I just rewatched it the other day, and she's hanging out with the Philadelphia Flyers with Megan Fox, who's like plays a girl who works in her store. And she's, married, 2 kids, over 40, and these hockey players are hitting on her. And she's like, "Oh my God, you want me to come back to your room to fuck?" And he's like, "Yeah, I would fuck you." And she's like, "Oh," she's like, "I'm married, but I can't." But oh my
Oh,
God, like she's
yeah,
like, "It's good to know I still got it." Right.
it's an ego boost.
Yeah. So everybody needs to know that, that they're still desirable, and you just can't get that from your partner forever because eventually you're just like, well, this bitch has already been tricked. I've
Well,
tricked her.
sometimes you don't know if they're saying and doing these things to be nice, and then you get a
Yeah.
fresh impression. It's like, "Okay, I do look good in this dress." It's like, "Okay, I do look this," that's not that you have to take a thirst trap all the time, but it's like, "Alright, it's nice to get that fresh impression," right? Because you don't know if the person is, like, just kind of yesing you.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I got into this whole back and forth with people on Twitter over the weekend about like why I don't believe in the concept of marriage, which is very divergent for somebody who's like libertarian conservative in any way. But I think so much of it today is about ownership and territorialism, and at the end of the day, like people are free to do whatever they want. Like the idea of marriage is not ultimately binding in society anymore, and it's a contract with the government who I have no faith in whatsoever. So there's nothing important to me in that regard. So I just don't see a reason to do it ever.
But it's also
And
contact with God. It's also, like, I don't know, I didn't think I would feel anything when I got engaged, but I really truly have, and
mhm.
I don't know if this is, like, I don't know what this is, but it actually makes me wanna be a better partner, and, like, I'm excited all over again to be like, "Cool, this is my fucking partner for life." Like, we've already been doing it for years, but there's something really nice about, like, kind of doing it with God, I guess, and, I don't know, I feel, like, kinda connected to my purpose a little bit more,
Well, that's
and I feel
good.
like I'm kind of, like, honoring him a little more, and there's something nice about it.
Honoring God or honoring Frank?
Both.
Oh, okay. I'm just
Yeah.
making sure I'm following.
It's cool, it's pretty cool, and, like, I never thought I would feel this way but it's because I never was with a guy that, was kind of, super valuable and, like, cared about my dreams and shit like that, but who knows? It was probably a combination of me not being in that place, not letting anybody in, and then I was also I remember when I was single, I would just, like, purposely meet guys that I knew were not gonna be good enough, and then
Long-term
yeah.
viability.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first of all, I would definitely say congratulations on that. And I
Aw.
did and I did message you guys both when I found out about that. So, but that's good. And yeah, I guess I mean that I imagine your faith is a big part of it. Like I don't have that sort of relationship with a specific religion in that way. I'm pretty convinced that we were the product of aliens fucking gorillas.
Wow.
So I think that's as likely as all the other things. But I don't know. I mean, I just I'm not really like subscribed to a specific like religion or deity in any way where I sort of like seek some sort of interpersonal relationship with a higher power. I just sort of acknowledge that there's something out there, and that's it. I don't need to know anymore. I'm not curious about that. I was when I was younger, but I really am. I have so much faith in that we exist beyond our physical being that I don't need to have any specificity to what that looks like. I just have
Yeah.
so much faith that we're just too intelligently put together to be accidental, and that this existence that we're in is not the only thing we'll ever experience, and that's it.
That's
And
cool.
I'm open-minded to whatever's next.
Almost Buddhist. Like, I think it'd be fun to come back as a dog. Like, I think I would be a great dog because it's, like, all the fun stuff I already like to do, but I don't have to pay bills.
Yeah, I look forward to in the future to a spoof Chrissie Mayr the dog account called Chrissie Mayr's Teats.
Aw.
Dog Chrissie's
Marriage
teeth.
is a trap, especially for dudes. It makes me sad when I see comments like this because I know a lot of men feel this way, And
Yeah, and keep in mind, I won't pretend that I'm like some cool guy. Like I watched my parents go through 8 failed marriages between the 2 of them.
oh,
So,
shit,
I
okay.
have a pretty cynical perspective when it comes to human relationships, and I just think human beings for the most part are flawed, and they shouldn't make promises they can't really keep or
Yeah.
even understand. And I've never met anybody that I felt like um truly understands that kind of commitment or whatever. But I'm not somebody who would ever say that no two people are in that position, right? To make that decision for themselves. I, I'm
I
not
was in
somebody
kind of
I'm not somebody who would say like, "Oh, it's bad and no one should do it." I just say it's not for me.
And I was in the opposite situation growing up, like, where I wish my parents had gotten divorced. They stayed together the whole time, even to the end, and my dad was even, like, watching my dad, like, resentfully take care of my mom who's dying of cancer because he feels like, "Well, I gotta make it right in the end," and it's like, "Dude, you gotta just hire a full-time nurse because you're old and you can't carry her to the bathroom," and sure enough, he threw his back out and he fucked himself up so much
Just
that
taking
he
up all of his pee-pee sipping time.
ew. But I was just like, "Who are you proving this to? Like,
Yeah.
you guys were shitty to each other, like, your whole adult life." But I learned what not to do in a marriage, and which is constantly undercut that person. Like, they were resentful, cynical, passive aggressive. Like, it helps for a kid building their sense of humor, to be exposed to that, but, like, as an example of how to be a partner, it was fucking horrible. So they were a good example of, like, what not to do. And a relationship is like a living thing. It's not static. You have to be
Yes.
constantly checking in. You're constantly changing. They're constantly changing. Honesty is the thing that needs to be constantly flowing, because the second it's not and it gets crusty is when, like, that resentment can come through,
Yeah.
and then you're like, why am I being shitty to this person?
Yeah,
Uh
I also think like in a weird way, the only currency that matters to me in life and my existence is experience with people, meeting new people, interacting with people, hearing their stories about their lives and their experiences and everything. So for me, I don't think it would be honest for me to ever make any kind of commitment to somebody that would propose that I would limit the way that I would experience and interact with other people at any moment. And that might sound selfish,
what does
but
that
it's sort
mean?
of
Do you
like
want to hook up with other people? You want to be like
no,
in an
no, it
open
just no, it sort of
relationship?
means like if the universe presents me with a dip like with this alternative path that is interesting or exciting to me, I'm the kind of person that's going to take it and deal with whatever fallout or consequence happens. I'm a very risk-taking person that way. It's why I've blown up my life so many times with tweets and
Hmm.
making decisions and like it's not just like this raw thing of like lack of impulse control. It really is this thing of like I have this morbid curiosity of if I were to restart my life down this path, what would that look like? And I would never pretend to or lie to another person that I might not do that. Like that I might not like I
Hmm.
think it's unrealistic for me to go that no other human being could ever enter my life and change. How do I know that Andre isn't going to show up at my door in an hour with a cake and his cock out and I'm just going to go this is the move. Now I'm a baker's husband. I'm in a thruple with a baker and another gay. You know what I mean? It's just like but
But
this
you
thing
have
of
to
like
go through it. I think it takes commitments to learn about yourself, because if you never commit to anything, even if you never fully committed to comedy, you wouldn't be where you are today if you were, like, too much of a pussy to, like, "You know what? I'm gonna fully do this as much as I can." Uh,
Yeah,
I
no, it's yeah, and by the way, I still think I haven't fully commit. I think I could work harder. I think I could do more. I think, but it's also not the only thing I'm interested in my life. Like, there's other stuff I want to do in my lifetime too. So it's
do you
just like,
Josh, does part of you are you seeing anybody right now at all?
yeah, I've been with the same
Okay, okay,
person for
okay,
10 years.
okay. Oh, 10 years, okay.
Yeah,
Alright, so you're basically married.
yeah. But if she
Okay.
came home tomorrow and was like, I met somebody and I don't want to do this anymore, I would not feel bad about it at all. My only
Mhm.
hope in all of my relationships I've ever had with people is with women. Somebody's going to clip that. People see there's dudes in there.
People.
Um, I don't know how they identify now. They were women when I ruined them. But every situation I've ever been in, my only hope is that I make that person a better, more well-rounded person when when we're done as they were when I met them. And because I can
That's
certainly
nice.
say that about me, everyone that's ever been in my life, no matter how long or short, has shaped it forever. So, and that's kind of why I have this like hippie open-mindedness to it of like I would never want to deny the reality that life is long and that all kinds of people can enter your life and shape it in ways that you never understood. And if you're one of these people that's
Mm,
closed off to
okay.
that, your life experience is going to be very limited,
Do you think
you
that
know?
marriages closes off something in a person where they wouldn't meet people that would, affect them positively?
I've seen it happen, like, these couples that are married that they can't even hang out with people of the opposite sex because they're
Well, that's
afraid that
fucking weird.
of the
Yeah.
temptation or whatever. So it's just like, yeah, I think first of all, I think yes, there are couples like that where they almost use marriage as like a way to handcuff themselves from experiencing things outside of that
But
relationship.
that's somebody who would've lived their life with horse blinders, and it's just like having kids, it's a perfect
Probably.
excuse to
Yeah,
say no
probably.
to things and kinda keep your life small.
But even men who know what the right thing to do is lack impulse control. So I think some of it is people trying to like put a fence up around themselves to do the right thing even though they're not compelled to naturally. And I just think that I think that those impulses might be deeper than just raw impulses. And I think there might be some things that you have to learn about yourself by experiencing other people. And I'm not just talking about in like a sexual way, even in an intellectual way, like having conversations with people that you would have otherwise never crossed paths with is a profound thing to experience in life. Like to go back to talking about when I was Uber driving and stuff, I did it for like 8 years, 9 years in LA. That job throws you in the mix with people you would have otherwise never met in your life. And I find that to be an invaluable experience. And
Yeah,
so
that
it's
is
like
pretty cool.
if the world presents you with these crazy adventures that you can go on and you don't do it, you're just going to end up resenting your partner or person that you feel like is depriving you from that anyway. And that's what I watched all my parents go through with their
Mhm.
marriages. And so I think you can be there are people that have like open marriages or open relationships that I know that seem to be very happy with that, although they almost always explode down the line and don't go that way. But yeah, somebody said keep your life small. That's I think the problem is that I think if I could never be in a marriage that's intended to keep my life small,
Do you
there has to
feel
be this ability to go out and experience all kinds of things. And I have that. Like
okay.
I'm with a partner who's like, you can leave and go do comedy for a week and I'm not going to call you every day and be on the phone with you every day and be up your ass every day. And I'll be like, you go, like she'll leave town and go work on a project for like a week or something in another state. And it's like, you get to that level with someone where you're just like, you're not gonna stop living your life because of our relationship. And if she came home one day and was like, I met somebody and I want to explore that, I wouldn't feel like that's any indictment of me whatsoever.
Right.
I would just be
You
like,
wouldn't be,
cool,
like, a
that's
little bummed? You wouldn't be like,
no,
"Shit, I wish I
not
had"
first of all, not in this. How long have you and Frank been together?
like, it'll be 8 years in November.
All right. Well, that's close enough. But I'll tell you this 10 years, I'd take a year off. I would be like, you go do you, and I'll be
That's what I
fine.
think that's what I like well, we talked about, like, the idea of, like, maybe fucking around with somebody, like, no one in particular. We just were like years ago before the pandemic, we were like on that Thrinder app and we're like, yeah, we would be down. Like I've had a couple, not tons. I've had a few. So I like
Sounded
women,
like a real
okay?
pee-pee sipper over there,
I
Chrissy. Jesus
I've sipped a
Christ.
couple PBs and a couple Vs in my day. That
Whoa.
that would be something like if he came to me in like whatever tomorrow or in a couple years or whenever, like, hey, I really am into this other chick. I would be like, I think I would be a little bummed because I'm like, I wish that was something we could have done together, like explored together instead of like you wake up one day and like I want this totally different thing. I'd be like, fuck, like I wish because I think just honesty is the way through any of this stuff, uh,
Yeah,
to,
but
like,
I
how
mean,
you grow with somebody.
you can have total honesty and everything else, and it still doesn't necessarily fulfill or scratch that itch that the other person might have or that you might have, right? So like,
True.
I don't know. I just I try not to feel I try not to feel any permanence about relationships with people in my life, and that's just what I adopted from watching my parents. Like, my in my lifetime, my dad's been married 3 times. My mom's been married 2. And they've had countless other relationships in between, and it's just like, and they all had positives and negatives, and all the people that came in and out of their lives impacted my life in positive and negative ways. So I just don't, the idea that like I think back on my life and I go, if my parents never divorced and I never met my stepdads or my stepmoms or their boyfriends or their girlfriends along the way and all the other life experiences that brought me, I would be a boring, lame, uninteresting person. And so it would be like super hypocritical for me to be the beneficiary of that lifestyle and not advocate for it and say, listen, you don't know where life's going to take you. You could also be somebody whose fucking spouse. I had a niece just die of fucking cancer at 26 years old.
Oh my
26
gosh.
years old. She's an identical twin. And when I went to Delaware, that show that Frank booked for me last year, she had been diagnosed and she literally died like a month ago
Oh my god.
in a
Wow.
year. So went from being a perfectly healthy 26-year-old in a year gone, right? Tragic as fuck. And so we don't know what life is going to throw at us. Like, who am I to tell any fucking woman who graces me with her time in this lifetime that she's not free to go do whatever the fuck she wants whenever she wants to do it?
Love you guys. Thank you for the chats. Thank you for the comments. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Bye. All right. Love you guys. God, I don't even want to leave. This candle smells so good. I don't want to leave. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye. Love you all. Join the Discord. Feet. Love you all. Wow. You guys are awesome. Come and get it. Bye, guys. Bye. Now I'm really leaving. Love you. Bye.